Questions. Everybody's got them all the time, but now more than ever, we've got lots of questions. Today on the show, we're going to talk to Mr. Caplan about some of the questions around college. Specifically, what are people going to do about SATs, applying to colleges, and things like that. We're also going to have some questions about the breakfast that he's making during this interview, which he keeps on getting up to 10 to, the breakfast that he's eating during this interview, which he keeps on eating, and then also, as always, what do you listen to, what are you watching, and what are you reading? Stick around for this great interview with Mr. Caplan. You'll notice that the facial hair change is a little bit different. This is my new quarantine look. We'll see how long it lasts. Stick around. Catch you on the flip side.
I like it a lot. All right, should we do this?
All right, let's do this.
I'm doing a
All
quarter cup for one serving.
Are we live?
Are we live? We're live?
We can be live if you all ready to be live.
I'm live. I'm just going to crack this egg real quick. Give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm 1 second. While you're doing that egg crack, I'll go ahead and introduce. Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is Friday in this interview's world. This interview is dropping on Tuesday, so it is travel day. We're here. I'm Mr. Buse. Got my producer who's wide awake today, not the usual. And we're broadcasting to you from the upstairs. Downstairs was a little bit cold for my producer today. So we're here with the breakfast extraordinaire, Mr. Caplan. Mr. Caplan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
What's up, people? I'm Mr. Caplan. Yeah, I'm making breakfast right now. But I'm one of the post-secondary college and career coaches at Solorio. Also teach some seminar. Yeah, happy to be here. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
And then you also you have a one goal, right? Am I imagining
Yeah,
that?
so I teach like one goal this year and last year, and then teach like seminar to fill out the schedule. Yeah.
Great. And this is not going to be a Julia Childs style demonstration video. That's only for our Patreon subscribers. But Mr. Caplan, you will be making breakfast during this interview. What breakfast are you making?
Well, I don't usually like have this except on weekends, so I guess I'm a little bit out of schedule. But just like an egg and some toast, some oatmeal maybe.
If that's your deluxe breakfast, then I feel bad for your
If
Monday.
I'm feeling really deluxe, I'll do like a piece of bacon or like an egg sandwich with some sausage. But that's like once every 2 months or something. Who knows?
Nice. All right. Great. If you're a Patreon subscriber, you'd have full access to Mr. Caplan's cooking demonstration. But
Wait,
while
what's
you're doing
Patreon?
that,
I heard this today when I was listening. What's Patreon?
oh, that's what for podcasts and things and YouTube channels, Patreon subscribers, you pay money to get special access. I don't actually have a Patreon. It just makes me feel a little bit more legitimate.
Well, I got a question. Like you keep like, there's some things in this podcast or whatever we're calling this. You keep saying like you're going to put links up on the screen and that doesn't happen. And then like you say these Patreon things. So I'm trying to be serious about this because it's a cool thing you made here, Buse.
The links, so YouTube, YouTube back in when I did most of my YouTube watching and consuming, you could put links up all the time, annotation here, annotation there. And you remember those because you'd have to turn off the annotations when you wanted to watch a video.
See, I know what you're talking about. I didn't get deep into YouTube in the past. I did like in high school, and then I like lost my YouTube like love for like 10 years.
When I was in college, since I wasn't on a sports team, and to be fair to all the athletes, I created something called hangout practice because all these athletes had to go to practice, in the afternoon, sometimes in the morning. So we had hangout practice, which would be 2.5 hours of really rigorous YouTube watching.
And that was like
to level the playing field. I thought if these athletes have to go to practice to better themselves physically, I need to go to YouTube to better myself emotionally and humor-wise, and to make sure that that I have as much of a kind of time suck against my homework as they do. So you will
I don't know
notice.
what your YouTube video is.
Yeah, what is your favorite
From
YouTube?
college.
What is your favorite YouTube video? I guess from college, or just like, if you're like, give me 3 YouTube videos, because I've got, 1 or 2.
So the first YouTube video I ever saw was in probably 2005. I was working at a coffee shop, didn't have a smartphone. Those didn't really exist yet, but we pulled up I'm the Juggernaut. Do you remember that? I'm the Juggernaut? Pulled that up on the computer at the coffee shop. And
I
watched.
remember that was one of those that like I didn't really get the hype, I liked it. It like took over.
Yeah. So then number 2 is gonna have to be, if you want like a classic 2008 era YouTube video, I'm gonna go with Charlie the Unicorn.
Charlie the Unicorn, okay, a great one.
Which is very, like, that was a lot of the college stuff. I'm gonna have to do an honorable mention of all fail compilation videos, which were
Like that's like, that would be like doing that for like 4 hours trying to find fail.
yes. And like on Friday afternoons, getting together and watching the new fail compilations. That's like 2010 to 2014. But I'd have to say right now, my favorite, and then probably the Apparently Kid. Have you seen Apparently Kid?
I don't think I remember it. No.
Apparently. Okay, that's your homework. Everybody's homework is go watch Apparently Kid.
I've seen that one. Yeah.
Apparently, this is my first time on television. And then there are other YouTube videos that are not going to collide into this life. When you get lost on YouTube, it's a little bit harder to get lost on YouTube now, but you used to be able to get lost on YouTube and just.
They made all these new rules, right? You can't like just force someone to go into a black pit of YouTube videos for 7 hours.
The algorithms are different now. There's so much money involved. Before it was monetized, it was just it was sort of the Wild West. And there's a problem with calling things the Wild West, because the Wild West, it wasn't a violent place, but it was certainly a strange place.
It was a strange place.
It still is to some extent, but it's much more sanitized now.
I mean, the internet itself is a strange place, but I think it is what it is.
Right, which is what's so bizarre about everybody bringing their work onto the internet and their school onto the internet is.
I think it's like fun to see like, people's different styles. Like, I'm not really on social media much at all. I don't have Facebook. I used to have Twitter, but even that I just would like use for news content, Right. So like this like working remotely thing is kind of like, I just want to talk to people, but I don't really need to like see them in person. But so I've been using like voice memos and like sending quick videos to my students, because like writing and like I guess long emails, but I would do that even when I was teaching.
Do people what?
No, I was saying I send like also long emails, but I guess I would do that when I was teaching too, just like yeah.
Yeah, I personally really miss the face-to-face, which is why we're sitting here eating breakfast, drinking coffee, talking, because that's been kind of stolen away from us for the time being. So on that note,
I'm sorry, go for it.
No, what are you doing to kind of retain a sense of normalcy in these abnormal times?
I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm just trying to like keep a routine, as people have been saying. Like, if I don't brush my teeth in the morning, I really feel really bad about myself.
Forgot to do that one today.
I forget to do that like every like 5th day or 4th day. Yeah. It doesn't feel good. But I've been trying to stay active. I will admit there's been some miscommunication about like where I'm supposed to be active and how I'm supposed to be active. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate that people are like making it more and more clear throughout these days of like, don't crowd on the lakeshore, don't crowd in these areas.
Right.
So I haven't been doing that, but like I definitely have seen some places. Like I took the Lakeshore Drive one day on a bike ride, and I was like, wow, there's a lot of people out here right now. So I didn't really know what to do.
Yeah. It seems like people, again, it's Friday, March something, but Mayor Lori Lightfoot kind of issued her proclamation yesterday. It seems like people got the message. And yeah, it seems like the smart outside activity is don't drive anywhere, like leave from your house, don't lollygag around, and go by yourself or with the people that you're living with.
Yeah, exactly. So I've been staying active, like been running through the neighborhood more and more. I cook a lot during the school year, so I'm still cooking a lot. We're trying new recipes and stuff. But I think also like the other thing that's trying to keep me like feel normal about stuff is just as much as possible trying to reach out to students without trying to overwhelm them, because I think they're getting like thousands of emails a day. Who knows?
Yeah, right. And that is there does seem to be, and students let us know in the comment box, but it seems like there's a mix of students who are like, I'm extremely bored at home. I need more engagement and I want to hear from teachers more. And then there's students who are saying, I can't keep up with this workflow. I'm really busy at home. I'm really stressed. And it's kind of, I feel like people are trying to sort of balance out, well, how do we communicate with students without kind of burying some of them in work, and at the same time without just leaving the ones who want more engagement completely alone?
Dude, it's a really interesting to think about the word you and Miss Margaret used yesterday. A very interesting situation of like, I mean, I've heard from students who are working more hours, 40 hours a week because they work in a grocery store or a restaurant. Like, there's some people with like even more busy schedules now than they had during school, or equally as busy. And so I think it's like, there's been some stuff I've seen teachers doing to try to make sure we're like, having lines of communication, because it's real, man. It's a very, we've never had this happen. So you just got to kind of deal with it as we can.
Right. So, I mean, one thing, you obviously are focused on post-secondary stuff. And, if students have an issue with geometry, they can reach out to their math teacher. But there might be some concerns about, colleges and the SAT and applications, and, all these places are closed right now. So what's the plan over the next 6 months, for people looking, either juniors who are applying to college in the next year or applying to post-secondary programs, or seniors who are making decisions supposedly right now? What's going on in that world?
Yeah, man, it's like, I guess I'll break it down thinking about seniors first, maybe because it's more like right now than the juniors, but there's a ton of stuff for juniors too. But like, colleges are like updating their deadline for when things are due, right? So there's a website that the post-secondary team sent out to like all students this past week. If you haven't seen it, if you're watching this yet and you hadn't seen it, just email one of us. But like, there's a website that has been showing all the updates that schools have been doing. But I think, like, I know people are sick of hearing this, but I think it's so early right now still. Like, the universities themselves have many of them have shut down for the school year. Like, commencement's canceled, all that sort of stuff. But they usually end like end of April, early mid-May, right? So like, I definitely believe that there's going to be things that have to be pushed back or modified. Because think about it, like, orientations happen in the summer. That's when you register for classes and stuff. So I think everybody should just like relax a little bit, knowing that like no one has an answer, but just really over communicate with these schools, because they're just like you and me, I would say, in a lot of ways, where they may not be able to be physically in their office, but they're sitting by a computer all day, hopefully willing and able to help you out.
Right. So for students who are feeling stressed about post-secondary things, kind of don't feel like taking a pause is going to hurt you right now.
No, I mean, I think like I think it's dumb of me to say that this isn't like making it much more difficult for many students. Like, it's making this whole process a lot more difficult. But like, also, everybody is hopefully understanding that this is such a unique situation that if you communicate, if you're following up, I believe there's someone who's going to help you, either from our school or from the schools you're looking at.
Right. So just send the emails that you can, and then try to relax from there. Yeah,
I think like I mean, this may be selfish, but like, if you reach out to somebody from our team, like, post-secondary support team, like me, Rigo, Marlene, like anyone on a Gear Up too, like, I mean, even administrators, counselors, all these people, like, we've all been talking, like, everybody's been in communication. So even if you don't know who to call at your university, just contact one of us. There will be someone who's going to be able to help you out.
Yeah. So, but what's going to happen with the SAT? That's a different thing, because you can contact a college. You can't contact the SAT as a student. So if students are wondering, what's going to happen? Obviously, April's SAT is canceled. Should students be making secondary plans for that, or is the district, is the state going to kind of take care of that? Or college is going to be looking past it? What have you heard about standardized testing and post-secondary stuff?
You know what, Deuce? That's like something that I actually haven't heard anything more except that they've canceled the SAT. And I wish, I think gonna be the theme of this stupid talk for me, I guess, is that it's so early still.
Yeah.
And so think about this. If they're not able to have an SAT until, let's say, next fall, when students come back, where it's offered by the school, I guess the students would get scores back in time for their applications before early action, early decision deadlines. But so I guess that's to me, the worst case scenario. In the best case scenario, it's schools all just say this whole year, we're going to all be test optional. But I think there's also some things that are fraught with test optional too. Some students might really benefit if their score can kind of put them apart from the people. So, but I think it's just the district loves these tests. So they're going to try to figure out how to give the kids this test. So, who knows?
So be ready to take it in the fall. But again, similar to the college thing, just do what you can and then relax after that.
Yeah, I mean, be ready to take it. I would say be ready to take it this summer. If they can make, I'm maybe gonna play my hand a little bit here, but the College Board makes a lot of money on students taking the SAT. So if they can offer an SAT this summer, they're gonna offer it, and we'll have fee waivers available, and students can take it. But I bet there'll be a day when the schools have to offer it or want to offer it too, and I don't know when that's gonna happen.
So, but students who, and because I did have a couple students who emailed me saying, how am I going to take the SAT? Do I need to set this up myself? I need to know what to do. And I told them, I said, you know what? I can almost guarantee Mr. Caplan and Rigo are going to be in touch with you really soon as they know anything that everybody else knows. So just
and counselors also know a lot about the SAT and stuff too. Miss Zuzga, formerly Miss Rolka, she handles all that stuff as well. So that's the theme too. All of us are we keep each other in the loop about what's going on. So we just don't have answers yet. But I mean, if a student is that worried about it, and I shouldn't say worried, if a student is thinking about it that much, that's awesome. You should sign up to take an SAT independently. You can take 3 with a fee waiver, which means you can take 3 of this test. 1 will be offered at school, and then you can take 2 more on your own time that is completely free.
Right.
And so many schools these days would do this thing called super scoring, where they're taking your test and and trying to make it look as good as they can. So you don't really worry about getting a worse score. So I don't know, but I got some thoughts about the SAT if you want to talk about the SAT a little bit.
I mean, I would assume since you're a post-secondary guru that you love the SAT.
I don't like the term guru. I'm watching a Tiger King, and there's that dude that thinks it's okay, whatever.
I cannot wait to see it. I'm saving it all up for. It's funny to say this weekend when every day is kind of a weekend of sorts. But anyways, yeah. So you must love the SAT. Oh, Mr. Caplan, he works with post-secondary stuff. He loves the SAT. That's what I would be thinking. Are you saying that's not you're the connotations of I have some thoughts about the SAT makes me think that's not quite the case.
My thing with the SAT, I think it is a test that can tell you a good amount about your ability to take a standardized test and have learned a lot, and there is a lot of good stuff that you can measure, I guess, with the SAT. It is not a worthless test. I just think that we've taken it so far that schools, although they say that they're using many factors, which they are, but they really are using many factors, there's still way too much evidence that certain scores will just not get you into a certain school, and that should just really not exist in my place.
Right.
In my book.
Right.
So I went to this the Illinois Counselors Association, IACAC. So they have these yearly conferences, and I went to my first one this past year, and this really awesome dude, I think his name is Akil Bello. He's weird. He's interesting. He has a test prep program, but he just gives speeches whenever he can about how messed up the SAT and the ACT are. And so he showed us this graph. I want to show you this graph. Can I share my screen with you real quick?
Share it.
I want to, and like, I want to admit, I took this off his website. So like, you and Kringle said, it's not plagiarism if you just say where you got it from, right?
Yes, if you cite it, it's never plagiarism.
Yeah, so his name is Bello, Bello, okay?
Great.
All right, here, let's see if this works. All right, share. Okay, is it working?
Yeah.
All right, cool. So like, all right, so here is, and you're gonna see, it's gonna look so funny because it's gonna have his like play button from it. He like has his screen. So all right, so this graph is in income distribution by ACT score in 2018. So he like talked through this thing a ton, but like, if you really look at it, the students who got a perfect score on the ACT in 2018, 49% of them came from a family whose household income was more than $100,000.
Wow.
And like, if you look at this graph, it's like, if you really analyze it, the ACT is really just a measure of like household incomes in a lot of ways, that there's so much like bias and stuff built into this test that the trends just like don't look great. And that doesn't mean that people who like come from families who make less money are like, it's impossible to score higher. What this is showing is that like, there's a lot of totally not talked about bias and other issues with this test, that like, if these like intelligence and ability to do well is not determined by household income, right? So like, why is the ACT showing a trend that it is a measure of that? But that's just one example.
And do we see that on the SAT in the same, is the SAT the same extent, or is that more an ACT thing?
I think, I can't remember from his speech, but I think he did, so he does some stuff. I'll show you a few other things here. Let me see. So he was talking about this. I love this quote. Well, actually, I'll come back to this quote. He was saying this. I mean, this guy's got great slides, man. Look at this dude. He's like the coolest ever. So he was talking about how like any school that has like a hard cutoff of like, you must have a 21 ACT to get admitted, or like you must have this ACT to get a scholarship from us, like a merit-based scholarship. Right. There's like a plus or minus 40-point SAT standard error of measurement, which means like there's really no difference between someone who got 1100 and 1140. Like at the College Board says we can't actually, truthfully know what's the difference.
Awesome.
So I don't know, but like, so I guess, I mean, the last thing I'll show is that like the thing that makes me mad about the SAT is, although schools that talk about what they're looking for in students, and like how they like don't just care only about SAT scores. Like here is Northwestern, and like Northwestern is one of the most like selective schools in the country, right. But like when you look at it, they did not accept a single student that didn't score, above a 5, above pretty much 1,000. I mean, maybe there's like if you like, this 1,000 is like that, their cutoff pretty much, it looks like. So like, what it tells me is that like, although schools try to say they use many different things to determine how they're selecting students, they're using the SAT a ton in many cases. So like, we have to care about it. Like, even if we don't want to care about it, like we have to care about it. And it's in some ways it's not fair.
Right. So you're saying, even if what I'm hearing is, even if we think the tools are faulty, the only way to break down the door is with those tools, or that's one of the ways to break down the door. Well,
like, yeah. So I'm always of the belief that like, we should, this guy's whole talk was like, we should dismantle this idea that we need the SAT. But like, as I said from the start, he used to do test prep programs. So he gets both sides of it, and you have to understand both sides. Like, I mean, it goes to this idea of test optional that we talked about. Many schools are moving that way, which I think overall is a very good move. But like, that means that you really got to show up on your GPA and like doing extracurricular activities, which is possible, but you can't, there's a game to be played, and you got to play the game for these admissions.
Is there anything, if you're trying to play the game, is there anything right now that you can do that's not GPA focused? Let's say a student was planning on joining a spring sport or getting involved in clubs, that seems to be kind of on ice for the time being. What could they do right now? Maybe let's think about sophomores or juniors.
When you said that, I'm actually thinking now is even somewhat ideal. Like, there is a ton of evidence out there, and admissions officers will tell you this, They love like your ability to explain why you love their school. Because for them, there's a admissions officers in colleges, they're going to admit, thousands of more students than they know are going to show up each year. They're going to admit 10,000 thinking that they're going to get 2,000 to say yes
Right.
to them. But part of their logic is like, I forget the word they use. Like, I think it's like a yield, which feels kind of weird.
Yeah.
So they're like, this student is like a high percentage yield.
Sounds like they're talking about crops.
Yeah,
Like,
it's really weird. But they're like, if they believe that you're going to be someone who's going to want to actually go there if they admit you, they're going to maybe offer you maybe even more financial aid depending on what type of school it is. But it gives you a better chance of getting admitted. So like students could be doing research on schools. They could be looking for summer programs, although a lot of those things are maybe on ice right now.
Yeah.
Applying to them, you could then talk about in your essays to the school, like, I was admitted to this thing, or I looked in this program. But I think like now is the time that you can impress a school by finding out what you like about them. But I think, abuse, like this brings me into another like thing that I was at a meeting a week ago or two, like actually 3 weeks ago. And one of the people who is kind of high up in the Chicago public schools post-secondary world, his name's Eric Williams. He's a cool dude. He like made the point, because I think what you and I are talking about right now is that like, if a student is thinking about getting accepted to like selective, like any school that's like, going to be competitive to get into, right? And he made a point that like, we need to talk with students first. Like, do you care about the prestige or the like the competitiveness of the school of schools? Like, do you care about that? And like, that's a question that he posed to us to think about for our students. And like, one, if they say absolutely not, taking a moment to talk about, well, here's why some people do. But then if the student is like, hey, I just am looking for a place that's going to put me on a pathway to what I want to do, like, then even this time, like you could just be like researching what are quality programs around the Chicago or around the country that would help me become whatever I want to become. So there's like different routes. Like it's even not just two. Like, but I think we have to like also remember that, even to talk about the SAT. Like, if you don't care about getting into a really selective school, if that's not what motivates you, the SAT is still going to be like a barrier or a hurdle in some ways for these, if you want to be an electrician or get into a union, like they have metrics for that too. Like you need to do well on tests for them. So it doesn't translate equally, but like it goes into different sectors here.
What made you want to, what drew you into the world of post-secondary guruing? Because I know you were a history teacher.
Yeah, I taught history and psychology.
Right, you were a Mr. Barnett. You were a Mr. Nemec.
Mr. Nemec. Do these students know Mr. Nemec?
Some of them should.
Man, wasn't he a great guy?
All
right.
He's the one who looks like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. Okay. Now. Okay.
I'm gonna tell him that. What drew me into the post? I would say, so when I got to do one goal the first time in my second year of teaching, I took on a one goal cohort of juniors that year. And I guess I didn't even like know, because Solorio at that point, they had one goal, but I think they had a half-year seminar, or like it was only for seniors. So like it wasn't really a thing that much in Chicago where like everybody like was talking about it.
For people who don't know, what is one goal?
One goal is like if you take a junior senior seminar, it's very similar to those, but it's like a class that like students who like have expressed like they want to be a part of a cohort that like loops for 2 years. They've expressed they kind of like want to maybe do a little bit extra in terms of like what's expected of you in seminar. It's like, it's a wide range. Like I think that's the coolest thing about one goal. It's mostly just like students who have said like, hey, like I'm like down to get a little bit more support, whether I want to be selected in the most selective school in the country, or I'm just looking to figure out my life a little bit. So it's like seminar with like a little bit more like focus, and like you're gonna get bugged a whole lot more by people like me.
Right, and you're with the same group for 2 years.
Yeah, man, and like that, like I always wonder like if students would want to loop with their like regular seminars. It'd be so hard.
I've gotten asked that. My seminar students have been like, "Oh, are we gonna be in the same seminar class next year?" I'm like, "Nah, unfortunately."
Well, like so, like I wonder like, would you, if you could, would you want to loop with your junior seminar?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's because second period junior seminar with Mr. Buse is a great class of students. 98% of the time. I'm kidding, 100% of the time. But Yeah, I would absolutely
You know,
want to do that.
100% of them are cool 98% of the time.
That's the way to do it. That's the way to say it. There you go. So anyways, going back to what brought you into guruing post-secondary stuff.
Yeah, so I did that. I did one goal, and then like one goal provides the teachers who teach it like a little bit of like professional development on this sort of stuff. So I think what really drew me in though was that like one goal was like a cool organization, but like I was motivated by like, AP psychology because I was motivated by having an end of year, like here's how your students did. Like I'm competitive in that way, even though it's, again, those tests, you know, are stressful and all that sort of stuff. So I think like the post-secondary stuff was like similar. Like there's like I guess there's never like a complete end of the road, but like there's these like, signposts?
Yeah.
Signposts that like show you how students are doing along the way. And I think also like, I think it's a cool time in like young people's lives. Like when they start junior year, between junior year, start of the year, and like where they're at high school graduation is like, it's just fun. I think, but I bet like a freshman teacher would say the same thing about from a freshman to a sophomore. I don't know.
But yeah, so it's that transition point. You like seeing them on one side of the woods, if you will, and then walking them through the woods to the other side.
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like, I also just, the idea of helping young people figure out their lives is like, I like that better than teaching content. Like that's, I think why I like coaching. Mm-hmm. You know, I like content. I mean, I was a history major in college. Like I like that stuff, but like I have more fun, like talking to kids through like, all right, here's our next steps for a project in terms of like one goal or seminar than I do in a content class.
Right. Guiding, guruing, Sherpa-ing.
Yeah. And I mean, it's like, there's times when you're like, why won't this young person like take advice of people who care about them, whether it be me or Mr. Buse or somebody else? And that's like infuriating, but like, I guess that's the fun of it all.
Yeah. All right, we're hitting the 9:12 a.m. internet slowdown as everybody around us hops onto Zoom. So we're gonna run through your recommendations really quick, and then we'll get a quick game of this or that. So, book recommendation. What are you reading? What would you
there?
Yeah, I'm here. Uh-oh. You back?
I'm back. What's up, dude?
All right, there we go. I think, did you hear me? I think we're getting the 9 o'clock internet slowdown.
Oh, good point. I didn't know that existed. Wow,
yeah.
That exists.
Right. I mean, I think everybody's hopping on for their first Zoom business meeting of the day. And then there's that bottleneck because home internet all kind of, we're not ready for this. So we're going to do, we've got Mr. Caplan back. Sorry for that quick edit. We're going to do book recommendation. What are you listening to? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What are you watching?
All right. What am I reading? So, it's very funny because like I don't really read much except
I know I've given you 2 books and both of them you said I didn't read it.
Okay, you're gonna be proud, but like I shouldn't say I don't read. This is I'm making a bad example because I do read. I read like I would say 5 to 8 articles on the New York Times / Chicago Tribune / Sun Times throughout over in a day. I also read like sports. You know, I love sports. Like I'm reading probably 40 minutes or so of sports a day. But like, that's the funny thing, that because all of what is happening now is not really much more interesting than like taking like 20 minutes to see like what is going on in the current events. And there's no sports. I actually have been reading. So I picked up Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson, which I've been wanting to read. It's awesome. It's amazing. About halfway through it. I've seen his documentary, so I'm ready to like read the book too. So yeah, I've been doing that. What am I watching? I mean, I've been watching this YouTube thing, and it's pretty awesome.
Hey, shout out.
Yeah, but if you're not watching, you should be watching. But I've been, all the stuff that people have been talking about on the, the streaming services I've been doing, Watchmen, McMillions, Tiger King. I did have this like really big hope that I would get Kringle to watch some old classic Michigan football / basketball games with me. And that was just completely like, nah, that's not happening, dude. Like,
So you're watching those alone. If you had to recommend one movie that you think most students haven't seen, what movie would you recommend?
ooh, a movie that they haven't seen,
Like maybe something so I would recommend Speed with Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock, classic late 90s action movie about people on a bus that can't drop below 50 miles per hour or it blows up. Like that's my recommendation right away. Speed, instant.
okay, so I like that. So like, I would say, well, as I think about a better answer, I'm going to mention when I taught AP psychology in that like time way after the test was over, like that like last 2 days of school, I found out that like students 2 years in a row had never seen Forrest Gump. So like Forrest Gump was like, you should watch that movie if you've never seen Forrest Gump. All right, but a movie that like you should see if you
Doesn't have to be a good movie. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a good movie.
So
Kringle.
dude, like I don't know, like
Labyrinth.
So
Oh no!
God,
I'm editing out. We are not recommending Labyrinth.
like
Is David Bowie?
Labyrinth
Yeah,
is
no.
good. Labyrinth is good. Okay, all right. I'm gonna throw out two because one's like a total sap and it's a great movie. When it's holiday time, you gotta watch Love Actually. You gotta watch it. You know. And then like you know what, The Big Lebowski is an awesome movie. I've seen you put a few clips in some like hints at it into this little episodes. It's a great movie. It's awesome.
And I will say The Big Lebowski I watched for the first time I think my senior year of high school and I fell asleep and I thought this movie sucks. This movie's terrible. Then I watched it the second time. I was like, it's pretty good. On the third time I watched it, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh. And then that movie I've probably seen, I'm not even going to lie, I've probably seen it 40 to 50 times.
I mean, I've stolen like Deuter from it, like I just like, there's so many things I just like goof around.
El Deuterino, if you're not into the whole brevity thing. Yeah. Yes, to use the parlance of our times, The Big Lebowski is a decent movie.
And I'm with you. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, "This is pretty stupid."
I felt
something about Step Brothers too, and like it's actually gotten funnier, But the movie is,
Step Brothers. I don't. This might be too much information for the YouTube channel, but Step Brothers was how when Jenny, my wife, said, "Let's watch Step Brothers." I thought, "Are you all right?" And she was 9 months pregnant, and then she went into labor while watching Step Brothers. It was like this. I knew something was wrong when she wanted to watch Step Brothers. I knew something was off.
Yeah, I
love
slept
Step
that.
Brothers. Why are you sweating? I was watching.
Why am I-
Cops. No, from Step Brothers. Why are you sweating? I was watching Cops. Why are Cops isn't until 3:30? Okay, music. What's one track? If you had to, one track or one album.
All right, I would say I was listening to some Bob Dylan radio yesterday on the Spotify.
Mhm.
I've been loving Spotify, and Bob Dylan Wigwam. That was a fun little one that I hadn't heard in a long time.
There we go.
It's a good relaxing tune. But Spotify channels in general, I think you got to mix them up right now. Like been doing some like of that, been doing some some Beirut, and also some like we did like R&B last night because Miss Margaret made us think about it.
Yeah.
Just like you got to mix up the music. We're doing classical right now. But,
Beirut give some nice 2000s indie rock.
Yes, exactly.
It's a genre that has kind of been. It seems like we've moved on. Now it's a thing of the past. Like I can't necessarily put my finger on what the sound was, but it's kind of an oldie now.
I mean, I think like you got like what's their name? Tame Impala is kind of like the newer version.
Mm-hmm.
Like, but like I like some of their stuff. It's good.
Awesome. So we're gonna move on to this or that. Then we'll wrap this interview up. I'm gonna go hop into Mr. Nystrand's physics class if you want to get over there too.
Okay.
I'm gonna give you this or that, and you just off the top of your head, you got to answer it. I know your answer to the first, but I'm gonna ask it anyways. Ready?
I'm ready.
Crocs or flip flops?
Crocs.
Fridays off or Mondays off?
Ooh. Fridays.
Scrambled eggs or fried eggs?
If I have to choose, wait. So like I can't have like in the middle. Scramble.
Okay. Illinois or Michigan?
Michigan. Are you kidding me?
Basketball or football?
Oh, dude, that's not fair. I'm gonna lose some like. There's nothing better than a football
Basketball.
Saturday. There's nothing better than a football Saturday.
Pizza or donuts?
Pizza.
History or psychology?
Psychology.
Junior year or senior year?
Oh, dude, like that's like it's senior year, man. It's senior year is like the year that everything comes together.
First period off or eighth period off?
Oh, see, like this is interesting because like I'm a morning person. I'm at school at like 6:15, 6:30, but this is the first year I've ever, I think, not taught first period. And it's like, it's kind of nice to have first period quiet. So I think it's first period off.
I think that is the most wrong.
Is it really?
In the world.
I mean, I'm not the best because I have more periods off throughout the day. So like,
You have to go with eighth period off.
Okay.
Sometimes or Tribune?
Sometimes.
Kedzie or Pulaski?
I love Kedzie, man. I take Kedzie like most days, every day. Pulaski, I just don't use as much.
Ocean or mountains?
Ooh. 5 years ago, it would have been mountains hands down, but I've had some really positive ocean experiences in the past 3 years. I'm going to go with ocean.
Okay, last one. Science or math?
Science. Dude, math ruined me. I was so bad at it. And I somehow got put in calculus, but I was so bad at it. And I wish I had better teachers like we have at Solorio.
Awesome. All right. I forgot my favorite one. April or October?
October.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the one I can't decide. I'm truly 50-50 or that. On all these other ones, I've got clear answers. That one I can't decide, April or October.
Okay. Well,
my birthday's in April, but October, like the smell of October, the like feeling of being back in the swing at school, like it's hard to top October.
wait, when's your birthday?
April 6th.
April 6th, the day before my brother's. Wow.
It's a good month to have a birthday because you're ramping up into summer.
It's true. It's true. How old will you be, Mr. Buse?
I'm going to be, let's make a guess. Actually, sound off in the comment box. Make a guess how old I'm going to be. I'll tell you this. It's in between 23 and 47.
Is anybody commenting?
No, it's not. We're not live streaming. We'll see. There are two students who've been commenting, but we'll see. I mean, this is a historical document. This will be on the internet until we have long left Earth and we've, moved to some other planet and some other solar system. This signal will be bouncing around the space, the cosmos. Maybe somebody will use it to help see what humans look like at different ages.
I sure hope so, man. This is, I think, going to be the best of humanity, if I do say so myself.
Yeah. Awesome.
Not just this episode, all the episodes.
Yes. The boxed set. Seasons 1 through 17. All right, Mr. Caplan, thank you for being with us today. It was great talking about some post-secondary stuff and just kind of chewing the fat, as they say, on a Friday morning.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. This is great. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah. Anything you want to say to the students out there? Any challenges or questions?
If a student is watching this, reach out to some of your buddies. Make sure they're staying engaged. Like, this is like, everybody should process all this in their own way, but like, you can't, don't check out completely, people. Like, watch this video at least every day, and then email a teacher here and there. But stay with us, people. We got this.
Yep. This community is important. All right,
Yep.
Mr. Caplan, I'll see you later, maybe over in Mr. Nystrand's physics class.
All right, people.
All right. See you later. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Caplan. That was great. Happy Tuesday, everybody. And don't forget, keep those pencils sharpened. Keep on reading. Keep a lookout for that e-learning information coming your way. And stay safe out there. Signing off for now, this is Mr. Buse.